Welcome to Drive Central. It's Tuesday, and that means Drive Central. We're going to be talking about the things coming up on Drive this week. I'm here with Leo Parente, and we're going to be talking about Daytona later on.
Later in the show?
Yep.
We're heading down to the 24, so that should be good.
I'm not going. Of course, Leo's going because it's going to be on an upcoming shakedown that you're going to be doing.
This Friday, we'll have some stuff from Daytona, and if it's good enough, maybe it'll carry over to the next week.
Yeah, later on we're going to have Chris Harris Skyping in, talking about some of the stuff he's going to be doing.
Technology at work. That'll be cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Talking to Chris. I've never met Chris.
Really?
No, so this may be the first.
Fantastic bloke.
So I've heard.
Absolutely.
Watched his videos.
Yes. And so also don't forget to head over to Drive TV on Twitter and talk to us about what we're doing on here, on this thing we call Drive.
Or if you just want to comment on the YouTube, we read those too.
Right, because a lot of people have been commenting that why don't they just leave comments on the below the video. So go ahead and do that, that's fine. First on Drive Central today, Alex Roy, who's winding up his desert road trip. He was going to Area 51 to find some UFOs and stuff, but didn't find anything there. And
Can't believe that, right?
Can't believe that. Ended up going to Vegas and Death Valley.
Yeah, so the rumor is he was bored because there was nothing to do in Area 51. So he decided to go to Death Valley in the desert to find something to do.
There's a lot more going on in Death Valley.
And we have a clip?
Yeah, check it out.
This should be good. Let's see what he found.
We'll see.
This journey is a metaphor.
Why are you down there?
This is a metaphor for our lives. Because although we walk the same distance, we find ourselves apart. I'm going to climb up.
You're not going to climb up from there. There's a path there. Why would you not take the path?
Because I was exploring.
You're going to kill yourself, man.
Nah.
You should have just come up this way.
Yeah, but you told me to investigate, take adventure.
And Alex
Found JF.
found JF.
It looks like he was filming a bad version of that city commercial. You know that lady when
Where she climbs up the...
Yeah, we've got Alex going up a dirt mound.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, that's Live and Let Drive with Alex Roy every Tuesday. Next, Chris Harris. You saw his video on the Mercedes C63 with Space Saver spares.
Technology at work.
Yeah, oh, there he is. Hi, Chris.
Hello, how are you?
Good. You saw his first video driving a Mercedes C63 on Space Savers. Right, Chris?
Yeah, it was good fun to shoot. It wasn't the most objective piece of journalism you're ever going to see, but it kind of proved a point about taking grip out of a car, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, so your calculations were that 1,200 horsepower based on the what was it, the tread width of the tire?
I've copped a bit of grief here, haven't I, over this? Well, the mathematics of a 255 section to a 125 section aren't quite as simple as just dividing it by 2 because of the profile of the tire and the calculation. And it really was, on the day when you looked at the footprint of the tire, the 125 was about a third of the width of the OE tire. So yeah, I stand by my 1,200 horsepower, but I'm happy to take the douchebag comments on the YouTube bit.
Well, you know there'll be plenty of those because it's the internet, right?
Yeah, but they were trumped by the 230,000 views and counting. So everyone loves to watch you do those type of things.
Yeah, I mean, also there was a little delamination happening, apparently, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was surprised at how long the tires lasted. To get that many shots, you can imagine you have to shoot for a long time. So, we spent a good hour and a half, 2 hours abusing those tires. They're only marked to do 55 miles an hour, and I was doing a lot more than that for a lot of the time sideways. Eventually they wore through, and then we took some footage of the tire actually letting go. Sadly, I couldn't predict when it was going to happen, but eventually it did, and I think you might have that clip.
Bingo.
There you go. So that's the car running through. Sadly, the camera was static at that stage, and it happened off camera, as all the best flipping moments do, don't they? But as you see the car go through and exit, just on the left-hand side there, you'll start to see strips of rubber flying off, and the tyre does delaminate. But interestingly, the structure of the tyre stayed intact. I tell you what, besides being a great exercise wrecking a pair of tyres, it's pretty reassuring because those are so over-engineered. The abuse they took you could do 130 on those things and they wouldn't go pop. Not that I'm in any way sanctioning you doing 130 on them, but they're pretty tough.
Wow.
So, Chris, some people have suggested a race series just on those tires. Would you drive something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. They'd last as well. As long as you weren't doing big drifts like that, they'd last.
So, Chris, besides the C63, what else do you have coming up?
It's been pretty busy in a really good way, actually. So the stuff I can tell you about is, first of all, a kind of homage to my GT3 RS 4 litre, which is quite quickly bankrupting me, but it's a great way to go bankrupt, and something my children can tell all their school friends when they can no longer afford to buy clothes. The weather gets pretty bad over here in the UK in December, and even though I'm a pretty hardy non-fair weather Porsche driver, there comes a point where you have to just go 4 millimeters of travel on a GT3 RS Cup tyre is useless. So I went for one last drive before the winter took over, and then stuck the car in storage. We thought we'd celebrate that. Some beautiful shots. Pleased with that. And then following that, a bit of Group B rally goodness. Now I know Group B is not a US-based sport, or wasn't in the 80s, but these were the most exciting rally cars of all time, and they spawned 200 production runs of amazing road cars, and I got the opportunity to drive an RS 200 Ford, and for me the personal highlight as well, a Sport Quattro, the short wheelbase Quattro. It came about through an advert that was posted on Pistonheads, actually, but I got to drive both, and again we got some pretty beautiful shots. Cool.
Can't wait to see those. I mean, legendary Group B stuff is, anytime you can drive a Group B car, let alone two of them, I think that's kind of a good day.
Without giving away the plot, was there similarity to the cars, or were there big differences that you felt?
Valid point, Leo. Valid point. I would say that's the most interesting part of it, because when the Group B regulations were defined, you were told you had to build 200 road-going versions of a car. But of course, if you were Lancia or Peugeot or indeed Ford, you were building a prototype, weren't you? You were just building a car to go racing. If you were Audi, you were actually building a car that resembled something you wanted to sell. It wasn't a prototype. So on the one hand, we have the RS200, which was the ultimate prototype. So much a prototype, it was about a year late arriving. And then we have the Sport Quattro, which is basically a Quattro with 320 millimeters whipped out of the wheelbase, and as powerful a 2.1 litre 5-cylinder engine as they could get. So very different cars, but yeah, when you're in the presence of that kind of greatness, you just want to hang around them all day. I mean, you know, it's difficult when the owners are there, because I want to kind of lick the upholstery and stuff, because I'm weird like that.
I'll be one of your viewers, and you've given me two more reasons to be jealous of not being Chris Harris, so good on you.
We are all jealous of not being Chris Harris. Thanks, Chris. Good to talk to you. We'll see you later.
Okay,
Ciao.
guys. Well, look, speak soon, and have a good week.
Yes, you too. That's Chris Harris on Cars every Wednesday on Drive. Leo Parente, you're going to Daytona this weekend.
I'm leaving the studio, doing a road trip down to the Daytona 24.
Right.
Leaving in a couple of days, going to be there through the entire slog. Going to...
the slog meaning pre-race,
yeah,
the race,
I mean,
and then...
practice is Thursday, qualifying. Yeah. There's going to be the Conti Cup race somewhere around this, Saturday to Sunday, the 24.
And you're just hanging out, doing what?
Going to be visiting with teams. Going to be checking out what's going on. Three things I'm looking for. Grand Am has the new cars, and I want to see how those cars really perform. Everything from the Audi. We're going to be visiting with the APR team, who's running one of those Audis.
Right, the R8 GT car.
The R8 GT, very, very cool. And we're going to talk to them about how they took a car from delivery, shook it down, that's an obvious connection, and got it race ready. And then the third thing I want to do, quite frankly, is find out, is this race actually becoming more of an international event? You know, it's gone from this American thing to having all these international brands, from Porsche to Ferrari to Audi, and international drivers coming over, more than just NASCAR guys. But has it really made that jump to be back the way it was? They're celebrating, what, their 50th anniversary?
I think it's 50th anniversary.
Okay. And on their website is a huge history of all the cars and drivers internationally that have come over and kicked butt. So, you know, it's going to be my indoctrination into Grand Am for 2012.
I mean, Daytona is a big deal. It's the kickoff to the entire racing season.
There are two schools of thought. There's the one that says it is a big deal, And those are the people and teams that really race that series. And then there's another school that says over the 50 years, it's lost its luster. Now they've made the Daytona prototype cars look a little more attractive versus that turtle top roofline they used to have.
Right.
The Corvette kind of shows that narrow roofline. And as I said before, they worked really hard where honestly, ALMS has not finished their job bringing the Audi R8 to the table. Mercedes SLS is rumored to be joining. So with more brands like this versus just a Camaro, maybe there's something going on at Grand Am that is recapturing that luster.
Right. A lot of new cars, a lot of new teams. I mean, I know Grand Am is owned by the same people who own NASCAR. I mean, is sports car racing going to, I mean, in your opinion, as someone who watches this stuff, is sports car racing, obviously there are other, there's ALMS, there are other series, but is sports car racing through Grand Am going to be as big as NASCAR, or is it going to always be a niche thing?
I think it's tough to predict that, and it's not that I don't want to make a stand, but I think that 2012 is going to be a defining moment. What you're touching on is one of the advantages that Grand Am has, that ALMS, quite frankly, does not, is Grand Am has the financial clout of NASCAR to be there. People will always talk about how after Daytona, there's no one in the stands at a Grand Am race. But that's not going to help Grand Am go away. Grand Am has a TV package. ALMS has a new media package. ALMS has a connection with ACO and Le Mans, but they don't have the financial clout. I think everyone knows that. Does not have the financial clout that NASCAR gives Grand Am. So the weeding out is either going to be the quality of racing, the commitment of teams and drivers and manufacturers, or the almighty dollar and who's got the more strength to hang around longest.
Cool. Well, we'll see. So you have 2 shakedowns. Which one of them are you going to? Next Monday is going to be the Daytona?
Yeah, so for sure we're going to be doing a show with all the footage we've captured from Daytona for this Friday show. If we get enough backstories and enough information or car prawn, we're going to carry something over into next week.
Cool.
Monday normally is our kind of news from the weekend, and then Friday we really amp it up.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
On Shakedown, on Drive. One thing we want to talk about, though, is we had been having a discussion on whether we're going to do a live cast for the Formula One car launches this year.
Yeah, I'm gonna waffle and say I'm not giving you 100% commitment, but when we asked the question on Shakedown and y'all responded, yes, you want to do a live chat, our version of that, our current thinking is the week after the F1 cars launch, and they launch pretty much that first week of February, except for Mercedes that's doing like February 21.
Yeah.
That week after, wouldn't it be cool to have a live chat with all the players, Alex, JF, yourself,
Thank you.
maybe me, and we can field your questions and talk about F1, the cars that we see in the launch, and what it means for the season going forward. And there's going to be a hell of a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, new stuff. I mean, whenever there's a new season, there are always new rules, new parts of the cars. We could kind of talk about that.
And we've already started the rules controversy with the Lotus anti-dive system.
Yeah.
Drivers have changed position. Rubens is kind of in retirement. Everyone wonders if Vettel's going to be good again. Hamilton's found religion again.
Yeah.
It's all going to be great. And we want to talk about it with you because we know you know things and have questions and comments that'll kind of bring it all to life.
Yeah, the comments are always great, so we'd love to have you guys involved in that. So let's see what we can do with it.
So I'm not guaranteeing, but that's kind of where we're going for. If we get the technology together and get our acting in gear,
Yeah.
oh God, that's what we're going to try to do.
Acting in gear?
Acting in gear.
Cool. Well, that's another Drive Central down. Stay with us for another week of cool Drive programming. Thanks.
That was that close to begging. We don't need to beg.
We don't need to beg.
See you later.
See you later. Hey, Leo, I hear there's a mole in the studio.
I got nothing for you. I'm out.